Hello Allah, this is John bringing you a strategy video for 10.6. In double spoiler, I'm going to do all this in one go and I have all the stuff I want to bring up written down, so excuse me if there's any awkward pauses or anything like that as I look for the next part. I'm going to teach you how to get the highest score. If you listen to my explanations, you'll understand the methods behind reaching a high score. So, what is scene 10.6? Well, first of all, let's give you a short snippet to see what it looks like. See, this is the scene. It will basically be this over and over and over, and yeah, the pain never ends. Alright, that gives you an idea of what that is. Next, let me show you some statistics for 10.6. This is what I wrote down. As you can see, it's one of the harder scenes in double spoiler. The barrier for entry is pretty high, even if you're not capable of playing for the highest scores. You'll definitely learn things from my video to reach a high score that is more suitable to your skill level either way. Don't worry, I'm here to help regardless of what your skill level or determination is like. So before I start to explain the tactics, I'm going to show you the currently highest score achieved with Aya. It's my replay, a 945,000 run. And I want you to look at the whole replay as I play it. I want you to look at it critically. Think for yourself. Think about what I do, why I do what I do. Try to determine what I may be thinking as I play. This will preface the later part of the video when my explanations begin. Remember, thinking for yourself, dissecting the game is a very important part of being a score runner, as it is much more like thinking man's pursuit part of the game, like kind of demands more from your intellectual side, I guess you could say. And I'm showing the Aya high score, not the HATATE one, as they can approach the scenes pretty differently, and I chose to talk about the Aya's point of view. I'll talk about a few of the differences playing HATATE at the end, for those that are curious. Alright. Alright, there you go. Now that you've seen world record with Aya, give yourself a pat on the back if you came up with any of the tactics that I'm gonna talk about just by watching the replay. First of all, let us talk about the jelly beans. The jelly beans are the only bullets in this scene. Well, let me turn this off. You want to get as many of them in the picture as possible, of course. The jelly beans will begin spawning on the left side from the top of the screen. They will gradually spawn lower and lower and lower on the screen each time. And you will get 2 waves in quick succession. The second wave of jelly beans comes 1.5 seconds after the first one. And the first wave is spawned over and over and over every 5 seconds. So that means that there's a 3.5 second long delay between 2 waves of jelly beans and a 1.5 second delay between 2 other waves of jelly beans. The jelly beans spawn in a random amount and in random places. I say that they start from the top and go down, and while that is correct, it's still, this is Sun, he likes to randomize this stuff. It's not really consistent exactly where the jelly beans spawn or how many. You will never really know how many you get. The jelly beans will also arc pretty randomly, so beware of that. And because of that arcing, some that spawn higher on the screen that you might think you would want to catch, they're actually going to go off screen at the top and never come back. Once the jelly beans reach the right side of the screen, they will bounce back as long as they don't disappear at the top or the bottom of the screen. You'll also notice that the jelly beans come out at high speeds at first from the left, then they slow down for a while. When they speed up again, they'll move at really high speeds up until they reach the other side, in which case they will slow down again and keep that slow speed until they get bounced back to the left. Then they will once again slow down at the left side until they go off screen at the left. Once the jelly beans coming from the right has gone off screen to the left, they will not be bouncing anymore. The key then is clearly the left side of the screen. This is where there's going to be the most amount of jelly beans, particularly at specific times. So then the goal becomes to catch these jelly beans while Iku is on the left side at the same time as her nice shot arrives, and from the correct angle. The angle of which you take the photo can be crucial. Iku will move around at 3.2 second intervals. The nice shot then also has 3.2 second intervals. That's a pretty long amount of time in between each nice shot and between each movement, so Iku being uncooperative in terms of her movements can be a real run killer if she stays on the right side. That's an infamous, well, in my mind, infamous run ender. You can expect maybe even the majority of runs for her to be so uncooperative that you probably can't really finish a good run. At all. Also, the specifics of where it is best for her to be at different times depends specifically on where you are in the timer and on the jelly bean RNG as well. So it's very hard to really know the results of a picture you're going to take at any time. When you watched my replay, I hope you were thinking about how best to time the nice shot. This is a pretty big deal in the photo games, the nice shot. An important part of playing double spoiler is using the optimal timing system. You might have noticed that Iku will swing her arm right before the nice shot. At first I was looking a bit for this, but coming from Shoot to Bullet, I already knew that like looking for things is the wrong way to time. Because the nice shot, it comes at specific intervals. It's always the same interval. Well, it's obvious then that the best way to time things is to basically pretend you're playing a music, pretend you're playing in a band, follow a rhythm, count a rhythm in your head, and the nice shot will always arrive exactly when you expect it to. Looking for things is bad, because in this scene especially, the jelly beans, it's enough to look for the jelly beans and to pay attention to where you are and to pay attention to where the boss is. That's enough. Looking for her arm swings as well, it's impossible sometimes. You don't want to do that. So what I do is to count to 6 at a steady rhythm. Start from 1 when she does the nice shot. When you get to 5, Iku is going to move at the same time, or a matter of milliseconds before that. If she moves at exactly the same time, you might be counting very, 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 very slightly too fast. It's basically exactly the same. Once you get to 6, then you will wrap around back to 1. The same rhythm, of course, and once you wrap around back to 1, the nice shot will come again. So you're basically counting from 1 to 7, but when you reach 7, you go back to 1. So let me now demonstrate this. Normally I do it in Swedish, but let me try to do it in English just for you. I might miss the timing rhythm at first. Let me just do it a few times to make sure I do it exactly right. Once you get into it, you will never miss it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. That's too fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. I was a little bit off. Especially at first I was way off, but yeah, once you get into it, it's the correct rhythm, no issues. Alright. Furthermore, we also have to keep track of cycles in 10.6. This is the big one. The cycles, the first time I played this scene, I really underestimated keeping track of cycles. It is very obvious that certain nice shot cycles are better in terms of jelly beans than others, but figuring out exactly which ones are the best, it takes time. But I believe I have done so. I think I have figured out the best ones, with some help from Mizoru, but mostly on my own. So the timing of the nice shot and the behavior of the jelly beans isn't synced up well. There's 11 good nice shots to pick from over the course of the run, and there are some backups as well. 11 good nice shots, that means you can skip 5 of them in case you're getting bad movements, hard jelly beans pushing you away. Maybe jelly beans doesn't look like there's enough jelly beans, or like anything. There are backups, but don't consider the backups as potential extras. If you take a backup, that is a stand-in for a different optimal photo cycle. You'll always have to wait at least 4 nice shots before you take the next one. If you wait only 3, the bullets that were spawned on the left won't have had time to get reflected back to the left. You have to wait for at least 4, always. So let me share with you the best cycles with Aya. I'm going to refer to nice shots as cycles, just normal cycles, and the best cycles to take the picture, I will refer to those as photo cycles. So there's 11 photo cycles, and there's, I believe, 69 normal cycles. There's at most 11 photo cycles. You can actually get it down to only 10 if you take defensive shots or spend too much time aiming. That is because the timer will keep going while the game pauses for a while when you take a photo or when you aim a photo. This is important because if you take too many defensive pictures and you spend too much time aiming the picture, you will only have access to 10 photo cycles, because the final one is the final nice shot the timer even allows. It's EQ will time out if you take too many defensive shots before you get access to the 11th photo cycle. So that's important. The following are the picture cycles. At least 2 of these have an alternative cycle that has seemingly about the same value that you could choose instead, depending on RNG. And when I say a photo cycle is on a particular cycle, I mean that it's that many cycles after the previous photo cycle. So when I say the second photo cycle is on the 5th cycle, what I really mean is that it is 5 cycles after the first photo cycle. So that means that in reality it's on the 11th cycle, but I say 5th because the first is on the 6th. Does that make sense? I hope so. So these are the cycles. The first photo cycle is on the 6th cycle, but it can also be on the 5th. I'll talk more about that later. The second is on the 5th. The third is on the 6th. The fourth is on the 4th. The 5th is on the 6th. And this, let's see, where am I? Yeah, the 6th is on the 6th and the 5th is on the 6th. The 7th is on the 5th photo cycle. Now, the 7th photo cycle is on the 5th cycle. And the 8th photo cycle is on the 6th cycle. The 9th photo cycle is on the 6th cycle as well. And the 10th photo cycle is on the 5th cycle. And the final 11th photo cycle is on the 4th cycle. There are no more cycles after this. So yeah, the first photo cycle can either be on the 5th or the 6th. If you take it on the 5th, that means that you change the second to the 6th. Whereas if you take the first on the 6th, you change the second to the 5th, so that it always meets up at the 11th. Because what's important is always the overarching cycle you're on. So the second is on the 11th, the third is on the 17th, etc., etc. Beyond that, I've had very different results with some other backup cycles, and the results will depend a lot on EQ's position in combination with the JELLYBEAN RNG. Feel free to use other backup cycles if it looks like a good opportunity to do so. The 8th and 9th photo cycles can definitely be altered sometimes. These are 6 cycles, but you can I've altered either one to a 5. I've done that before with some good success. And I've also altered the 9th to a 7 once, which gave me good success that one time. But usually when I do this, it doesn't seem very good. It will depend a lot on the position of EQ. Yeah, this kind of experimentation will lose consistency, but who knows, I might have goofed and missed one of the optimal photo cycles. If you think I might have, then feel free to test for yourself and see if you might have better consistent high photos with changing one of my cycles into a different one. Now, here's how you keep track of which cycle you are on. You have to always count at a steady rhythm to have the nice shot timings. Never stop doing this, even if you aren't on a picture cycle. Always keep counting so that you know you are always counting at the right rhythm. If you are always counting, then you can just change number 1 into the cycle you are on. It's a bit hard to explain, so I'll just demonstrate instead how I count. Normally, again, I do it in Swedish. I'll try to do it in English. So this is how I count, so I'm always at the correct rhythm as well as at knowing which cycle I'm on. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. That was the 6th, and that is when I want to take the photo. I'm just going to do this with a replay instead, because that'll be simpler for me. I'm playing in a window now, which adds the input lag on my computer. It's horrible. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 2. See, this 6, I skipped it because this is a bad position. So now I'm waiting for the second photo cycle. That means you start over from 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. See? Makes sense, right? That is how you get the nice shot timings, as well as always know the cycle you are on. Crucial. You can't play this scene for a high score, not at the level I'm doing at least, and not do these things. It'll never work. So, this is probably the best system you could possibly have for the scene. If you find something that works better for you, as long as you have the core idea that you need this kind of system, if you have a different one, that's great. If it works for you, do whatever works for you. So there's still a few other things remaining to talk about. I think I've mentioned the timing system is a really important detail, but positioning as well, although positioning is harder to talk about, is incredibly important. First of all, if Iku isn't on the left side, then you shouldn't even bother. But there are times where she doesn't need to be that close to the left side for you to take a good photo, and at these times, the angle of the picture should be fairly horizontal. A slight angle by taking the picture from below and a bit to the right of Iku will give you the kinds of pictures you want at this kind of position cycle combination, where Iku isn't hugging the left wall, but she's fairly close to the left wall, or if she's like in between the left wall and the middle of the screen, and maybe even if she's kind of close to the middle of the screen, this is the kind of picture you would want to aim for at these times. Let's see here. So this is something to do on, for example, the first picture cycle on the 5th cycle. On the other hand, if you're taking the first picture cycle on the 6th cycle, then it's better if Iku moved closer to the left side, and in that case the photo should be angled more vertically, meaning you will take it from Iku's side. A slight angle is always preferable with Aya. If you take it from Iku's right, then be slightly lower than Iku as well to get the correct angle. Also, these more vertical shots open up opportunities for risk bonus style shots. Let me show you what a risk bonus style shot looks like. We will open this replay again because my record actually has one risk bonus style in it. Let's speed up until we get to it. There's going to be a risk bonus style pretty soon. Now Iku is going to move left, so we are on her left side and we take the picture, and we had 1280 risk bonus. Sometimes you can even get 2000. Being on Iku's left side means more opportunity to have bullets all around you that will increase your risk bonus. Risk bonus style shots are particularly good with HATATE, but you can sometimes get some big gains by doing this with Aya as well, like I did in my replay. The problems are pretty numerous though. First of all, if Iku doesn't follow you to the left, then it's over. If you move to Iku's left when Iku's pretty close to the left side, intending to do a risk bonus shot, and Iku moves away to the right, which she will often do, basically you've just risked everything for nothing because you can't do shit, and this will often kill you. Second, this only works on specific vertical position cycle combinations. It will be bad if it's on certain picture cycles. Depending on movements, certain picture cycles where it's less good could be better than you might think. But there are definitely certain picture cycles that are ideal for this kind of strategy. Third, there is a high risk of death. If you don't get lucky with the jelly beans, you can just die. All in all, risk bonus style is such a big risk and is only viable in some specific situations with Aya that it becomes not very important strategy. You won't gain much from doing it. However, with HATATE, I would recommend to use it more often if you're aiming for a really high score like a world record. So with Aya, these vertical shots are usually not the best. The more covering more space, like horizontally with a little bit of an angle, is usually what's going to get you the highest scores on certain picture cycle position combinations. You can get some pretty amazing results with these kinds of photos. Sometimes you might even want to aim the photo slightly left. This is kind of rare, and if you have to do this, then it wasn't an optimal situation to begin with. But backups are important in this scene because things will never ever go perfectly. The RNG will never be perfect, just never. It won't happen. I played this scene for a very long time, and it never happens. For example, on the first picture cycle, if you take it on the 6th cycle, if Iku moves right instead of left, so this means that all in all she has given three left movements and 2 right movements all in all. So she's gonna be on the left side, but not too very close to the left wall. In this case, you can take it from below, kind of a horizontal picture, and aim your picture leftwards, and you might actually gain some extra score just by getting more jelly beans in, even though you lose some multiplier. That's at least something I found. Another part of choosing when to take pictures of Iku has to do with her height. Generally speaking, you don't want Iku to be high on the screen. The lower she is, the better. I am not sure exactly which photo cycles this is more true in than others, but I believe it to be more or less true in all photo cycles. Just more or less. Sometimes it's more punishing if she's high than other times. Also, do remember that Iku has a slightly higher chance of moving towards you horizontally. Try to always be on Iku's left, if there's any room for her to move left, to increase your chances to get a good position for the next photo cycle. Before the photo cycle is coming, this can be a very tricky thing to pull off, as you try to stay on her left side right until she moves left, and then you quickly move around all the jelly beans and position yourself like on her down right for a nice shot. Sometimes the jelly beans just won't let you do this, like there's just going to be a big wall in the way and there's no time. Other times there might be just barely a way around a gap, and you'll just go really fast to try to go around to get to the nice shot in time, and you'll just kill yourself. This is probably the hardest part of the scene for me, at least, is these specific times where the scene just demands something ridiculous from you to move around the jelly beans and get into a position. So stalling is an option. The macro bonus is also a factor. Getting a high macro bonus is not recommended to consistently go for, but getting the bare minimum for a macro bonus, so like a 550 to a 600 macro bonus, should be attempted on every photo. If you ever feel like it's impossible to get the macro bonus without dying, by all means, take the photo anyway without the macro bonus. It might be more worth than to stall. And then lastly, surviving the scene. This is a bit abstract. This is a bit hard to explain and to talk about. I'll try my best to give some kind of helpful advice for dodging. First of all, let me demonstrate Iku's hitbox. The hitbox of Iku must be understood because sometimes you have to dodge close to Iku and you don't want to run into her. First of all, you can see that she's very thick. Look, that's not even close to her sprite, right? So her hitbox is not quite a circle, but it's not quite a square. It's a little bit weird. You can see here. You shouldn't be above Iku too much, in my opinion, but sometimes you might be above you, and then you do want to know you can't go anywhere near this hat. But if you're here, you can actually go into her skirt a little bit. You can see here. There. That's a bit into her skirt. So hopefully this gives you an idea of where her hitbox is. Next, take the Jellybean hitboxes. The Jellybeans have pretty big hitboxes in this game. You can see I'm just barely grazing that. I didn't move there. That Jellybean actually killed me, even though it looked like I was just grazing it. I'm going as close as I think I can. See, I did not move there either. That actually killed me. So that might confuse you. Like, why did the Jellybean kill me there? Well, the Jellybean hitbox should not be underestimated. The size was increased in DS compared to past games, and the shape is different. They now have a circular hitbox, so that's why the Jellybean, I looked like I was pretty close to it before I was meeting its middle point of the thickness. Once I did that, then it killed me because it's a circular hitbox. So if you see two Jellybeans almost hugging, even if there's a little space in between them, Aya won't be able to fit through if these two Jellybeans are like moving at the same speed, like next to each other. So try to learn how much space is enough. Also, if one Jellybean was spawned slightly sooner than the other, then the diagonal pixel movement can be done to do a tight squeeze through. So if two Jellybeans are almost hugging, but one is like slightly ahead of the other, you can move through kind of diagonally. Even if you move straight through them, then the gap wouldn't be enough because of the circular shape of the hitbox. So this is different from the square shape of the hitbox. If they had squares, you wouldn't be able to do that kind of diagonal movement because then the corners of the square would hit you. But because it's a circle shape, yeah, you kind of adjust the way you dodge these Jellybeans because of that. Yeah, this kind of diagonal movement and looking all the time at the Jellybeans is crucial for survival. Look at the Jellybeans spawn to the left. If two Jellybeans are spawned next to each other with no gap in between them, as long as one moves enough time before the other, just wait for one to move and then move in between the two Jellybeans into the left side. What I think needs to be watched out for most, although all Jellybeans of course are dangerous, but most of all is the offensive photo Jellybeans. These nasty Jellybeans are out to kill you if you try to take an optimal photo. Watching out for these Jellybeans and determining if they will hit you before or after you take the nice shot can be extremely difficult. You will often run into a situation where you found the optimal position to angle the photo the way you want to angle it and to get maybe also a good macro bonus. But you have already seen that there is one Jellybean that is coming straight for you, but if you move away you lose the macro bonus, or you will have a worse angle, or another Jellybean might kill you if you move away. What do? Well, sometimes there's nothing you can do. All you can do is just run away and wait for a next photo cycle. Or you could gamble and be like, well, I'm not sure if this Jellybean is gonna kill me or not, so you try to take a perfect nice shot and just hope the Jellybean won't kill you. Best case scenario, the Jellybean will almost kill you and you'll get extra risk bonus for it. Yeah, looking out for these Jellybeans is important. So basically, talking about how to actually dodge the Jellybeans, which you will do majority of the time, is pretty hard. In order to get the hang of the methods, get my drink here. in order to get the hang of the methods, I would advise to just watch my and Misoru's replays, because we play almost identically for the scene with either character, because both characters will have to dodge pretty much the same way. You're going to spend most of the time waiting and dodging the jelly beans as you stall, after all. Aya is easier, so I would recommend her for that reason, and that's why everything I've said here is for Aya, and most of what I've said applies for Hatate as well, but some of it is a bit different. If you want to play Hatate, then first of all you should get accustomed to that you will not get the 2-shot for free. I'm not going to spend this video talking about the 2-shot methods with Hatate. I talked about that a bit in an earlier video I made called How to Play Double Spoiler, which I never finished those videos, but yeah, I talked a little bit about that there if you don't know. Also, vertical shots and risk shots, basically any shots where Iku is very close to that side, are worthwhile with Hatate. Remember that and try to abuse it. Some backup photos are better with Hatate for this reason. For example, I've had some success with the first picture being on the 7th cycle instead of the 5th or the 6th with Hatate, and then changing the second photo cycle into 4 cycles after the 7th. So that concludes this strategy video. If I forgot anything important at all, feel free to say so in the comment section. I will gladly assist in any way I can to any aspiring double spoiler players. I hope my video helps you to play double spoiler better, and I hope you have fun. Thank you for watching.